Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Alexander Joseph. Anyways, we are back with another Goosebumps episode review, and this one's LeBron Duncan awesome. I'm just joking. Literally awesome ants. This is a more obscure Goosebumps episode, not a forgettable one. When we're talking forgettable Goosebumps episodes, the thing that comes to mind is like the haunted house game, werewolf skin. There's a few others. There's a lot. There's a lot of episodes that can be just fly under the radar. Teacher's Pet. I mean, it's a more clear one. Teacher's Pet more popular. Return the Mummy. There we go. More obscure. So yeah, there's a lot of weird obscure Goosebumps episodes. So let's just do Awesome Ants. Awesome Ants. Here we go. It's actually a good episode. I'm just gonna say that. It's actually way better than I remembered it. Now rewatching it. So, Awesome Ants begins with our main character, Dave and Ben. Why not Ben and... not Jerry and Ben? Like, Ben and Jerry the ice cream. Literally, you start in an ice cream shop. It could have been perfect. No. Because you guys suck. Suck. Anyways, Ben and Dave are at an ice cream shop. They buy ice cream, like, just buy some cool ice cream flavors. They're doing normal kid stuff. They start talking about science fair. But then, when they're sitting down, enjoying their ice cream, Ben notices that there's a ant on his cherry. And then Dave's like, there's ants all over your ice cream. And then he's like, oh my god, tosses it out the table. And then Dave sees that there's ants on his ice cream cone and on his ice cream in general. Just tosses it off the table, and he's like, cashier or whatever, the guy working there doing the ice cream shit. He's like, hey, what's the problem, man? What's the problem? And they're like, look, there's ants all over the walls. Everybody in the store's like, oh my god, there's ants. And he's like, looks back down at the cashier ice cream guy, and he's like, your hand, mister. It's covered in ants. Like, guys, ants are so tiny. I'm not afraid of ants. I've been around them too much to be afraid of them. Trust me, I destroy anthills. I'm just joking. I do. I used to. This is the face of a serial killer in the making. Sorry, guys. Anyways, yeah. Everybody runs out of the shop. Literally every single person in the shop just runs out, like, screaming, like, dude, it's ants! They're ants! They're not fucking aliens. They're not termites. They're ants. ANTS, ants. There was a whole Disney movie about them, I think. God, I don't know. It was Disney. Oh, God. Ant Bully. I hate that movie. I don't know. So weird. I remember watching it like 1,000 times when I was younger. Like, seriously, guys. Ants. They're ANTS and ants. They're not that terrifying. Like, Stein thought, yeah, let's make a Goosebumps short story about ants. I think it was a short story. I think the only made up one that was not actually from Goosebumps in general was Trilogy. From what I remember. For some reason, they really like using the monster book covers for Trilogy. Anyways, yeah, let's continue. So, yeah, now there's that building is all filled to the brim with just ants. Ants everywhere. There's ants colonies going on in there. Dave and Ben are like, oh my god, what are you gonna do? And then giant ants, it's a giant red bullet ant, just comes running at them. It's gigantic. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. It's so big. And it jumps onto Dave, but actually it's not even real. It's fake. So yeah, Dave, you ass, stop being scared of things that aren't even alive. It was just an ant that was on an exterminator's car. Exterminator comes out. Here's my favorite character. This is why I think the acting in this episode is a 10 out of 10. I love Lance. He's awesome. He's pretty funny. He's pretty cool dude. I love Lance. He's awesome. He's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, Lance, our new character, the exterminator. He's like, oh, you got an ant problem, I heard. I'll take care of it. Come on, boys, show me where the ants are. And they're like, oh, no, we don't want to go in there, right, Ben? No, you can go in there, Dave. No, Ben, I no, I don't really care about, like, comic books and everything in there. You go in there. And they start arguing, and then the exterminator just brings them right in. Look for the ants. The scene is honestly my favorite scene of the whole episode. Plus another scene, which was awesome, kick-ass. But we'll get to that later, because it's really later. Like a while later. And, yeah. If, Ants finds the source of the ants and why they're here. And it's through a wall, behind a painting. And it's the queen ant. And she's like, oh, look at the queen ant. And, yeah, he just demolishes it. He's like, y'all interested in getting ants? And the next day, Lance gave him a comic or a magazine, not a comic, about ants. And he ordered an ant farm. And it was $5 apparently. And it was gigantic. I don't know why it was $5. That's like on inflation. Hell yeah! It's gigantic. He can't even fit in their house. So, next thing you know. Yes? Never mind, guys. I probably heard someone knocking on my door. Anyways, next thing you know, he has an ant farm. So, what are we gonna do? So he fills up the ant farm in his backyard. Yeah, it's in his backyard. He puts in everything, puts in the soil, puts in the ants, and and it comes with a big gigantic book, and he's with his friend Ben, and they're like, oh my god, I'm not reading all this. But it also says to feed him 1 pellet a day. There's a bottle of pellets. He's gonna have to order more and more and more. But yeah, so yeah, so now he has an ant farm, pretty awesome. So after school, Ben comes over to Dave's house and they do the ant farm. So they feed the ants, like, okay, put a pellet in, and they just absorb the pellet. It's gone in a matter of seconds. Like, holy cow. And he's like, that's not enough food for him. Let's feed him worm. So he goes, Ben goes down in the soil, and he's like, Dave's like, I don't think it's a good idea, but okay. So I put a worm in there, and the worm is dead. Like, totally dead. Like, now if I was a worm, dead. So, yeah, that's brilliant, baby. Anyways, next thing you know, they're feeding the ants hot dogs, the whole container of hot dogs, like, dude, mentally ill. And, so yeah, they're just constantly feeding the ants now, and later that night, they're like filming the ant, no. I'm skipping. No, that was in the past. I didn't have to mention that because that was only the second one. Okay. Later that night, he's looking out his window at the ant farm, and then Mama comes in the room. Hey, you want some cookies? And they're covered in ants. I don't know how she doesn't notice that. So that's just a little jump scare, I guess. He's like, no thanks, Mama. You covered ants. Ant covered cookies. Ah! Sorry, my slappy, his leg is just going, hey, baby, I'm slinging leg. Hi. Hey, how y'all doing? Oh, I'm just fantastic. Fantastic, mentally ill, but fantastic. Anyways, yeah. So later that night, he's looking out the window. Mom offers some ant-covered cookies. He's like, yeah, no, I don't know why you didn't know there's ants on there, but sure. It's very weird. I don't know. They didn't have to include that. They didn't have to include it at all, but I think it's filler, honestly. Easy, quick, scary filler, I guess. Anyways, that night, the ant cage breaks. It doesn't break entirely. The lid, the lock, the lid just opens right up, and it just opens. They break open the lid. So, and the next day, the kitchen is filled to the brim with ants. And the mom's like trying to get him out with a broom. Sister's like, I'm moving in with the neighbors, and they've just watched it all happen. Yes, there's a sister. Sorry to mention that, guys, but she has like a very minor role. I think she's like comedy relief. Thought that was Lance. Make me feel like Lance more important than he should be. I love Lance. Sorry, guys. Anyways, next thing you know, he goes out and he sees that the ant casement is now just totally destroyed. So, he puts a cinder block on it. Yeah, because that's very smart. I mean, that is smart, but I don't know how to get out of a cinder block. And anyways, that day, he films the ants. Oh, well, he filmed the ants that morning. He finishes up his presentation and he shows it off at school that day. And Lance is actually there. Lance returns! Yay! He's watching his presentation. And yeah, and the class cheers. It was a good presentation, but when he steps out of class, Lance is like, hey, those ants were fake. They weren't real. They're like a millimeter too big. He's like, no, they're not. Those were in the kitchen this morning. And Lance is like, well, they can't be real. If they were that big, we wouldn't be around much longer. I love that line. That is why I love Lance. That's a good character. This is gonna be top my first. This is gonna be top my 20th. Pretty good episode. I mean, it now fear factor to the roof. This episode actually sort of scared me when I got to this part. Scary. So that night, the ants break open the cinder block. The kid sees it, so he puts a lock. The cinder block is totally broken. The ants have gotten out again, so this time he just totally locks it. Like, that's not a good idea. If they can break a cinder block, they can break a padlock. Okay, guy? Okay, kid? So yeah, you're kind of fucked. And he padlocks it, but that night, he's calling the people, like, okay, my ants have gotten really strong. I've been feeding them more than one pellet. I've been feeding them packets of hot dogs, and they get mad at him. Hang up. He's like, "Get out of there, kid!" And then he hears an ant, or a hiss at least. Looks across the room, and there's a giant ant just walking right towards them. Like, I'm gonna beat you up. Calm. Peace. And yeah, he just stumbles on the floor, like, dude, just run, stomp on it. It's not gonna jump back. Oh god, it's jumping. He grabs a weapon, he swings it with a tennis racket. It dies, it squashes, like, beautiful, beautiful scene. And now he's running around the neighborhood, like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. My hands are John huge. They're gigantic. Mom, sister, whatever her name is, Lance. So he goes to Lance's extermination company. And funny enough, right when he walks in, one of the ant outside that caught him earlier is now just turned its head. That was terrifying. Totally terrifying. It actually scared me like shitless when I was a child. Like, because this episode really scared me when I was a child. It actually one of the scariest. Anyways, so Lance isn't there, but you know who is there? After running around, there's an ant over here, ant downstairs, ant here, ant there. There's ants everywhere. And they're gigantic. They're huge. It would eat me. It would fucking eat me. So he's just running around. He's, like, trapped now, and he's screaming. It's terrifying. And the sound they make is just horrendous, okay? I mean, it's not awful. I mean, it's terrifying. Horrendous. And eventually one of them gets in the room, and it fucking eats him. It fucking eats him, okay, guys? This is why I love this episode. It's good. It's not my top 10, but it's definitely my top 20. It's like number 20, maybe 30. It's very good. It's a very good episode. I highly recommend it. It just a literal giant ant, no CGI, it's practical effect, walks in the room, picks him up, and is about to eat him, but then he wakes up. Of course it's a dream. It still looks amazing. Still creepy. Still freaks me out to this day. Like, oh my god, imagine I was in that scenario. At least it's not real. Or was it? That night, he wakes up. Well, that the next day he wakes up, everything's apparently good. But next thing you know they're in the ant farm. That's the end.